and it has some great examples in like going to a cocktail party and having four corners in the cocktail room, and you've got to decide which one of those corners are you going to go stand in. One of them's a technology corner, one of them's a sales corner, one is a numbers corner, and it guides you through that process. It's a fantastic book. I've recommended it to so many people who've given me good feedback. So if I didn't know what I was going to do, those are the two things I focus on.
Hi Joe, how are you?
I'm doing great.
It's great to see you.
Nice to be with you.
So, there are a lot of kids who are, want to, grow a lot in their career, but there's always this challenge when they start off. There's always this thing that they feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm able to, grow in successfully, or what is it that you can guide, like, some tips, like how can a young kid who's starting off in his career, what are the things that they should do to become successful?
Good question.
And to make a success story like yours.
Good question. For background, I started as a clerk in a paint store, a small paint store in upstate New York, and 23 years later, I was the division president of the company, of a billion-dollar company. And so the tips or the comment that I would give you, a lot of it would be based on, what did I do? How did it work? It was successful, and so therefore I think it probably will work. So I start off, three things that come to mind. Number one is figure out what your real area of interest is. And it's really tough when you're a young person. It's very, very tough. I often ask young people, what's your passion? And I guess 95% of them say, I have no idea whatsoever. But if you can determine, maybe it's not your passion, but something you'd like to be doing, focus in on that and figure out, is there a job opportunity around whatever that area of interest. I have a grandson whose area of interest was technology. I have another grandson who was his interest was sales. He wanted to do sales. I know people who want to go to college and get a degree and then move into something that would be degree oriented. And I know some other people who could care less about going to college and point out that Bill Gates didn't go to college and Steve Jobs dropped out of college, and all those examples. So to me, the first step of three things that I would mention. First step is to figure out as best you can at age 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. By 20, you should have figured it out. But I'll just lock in on those years. Figure out what area, just broad area. And then try to get a position there, no matter how low that position is. Don't shoot for the president's job at 20 years of age. You're not going to get it, and you'll be discouraged.
So be realistic.
Yes, and pick something low enough that you can get some success, because we all need a little pat on the back every so often. So that's the way to start your career. So that'd be number one. Number two is always be willing to do extra. And some of us lock into, let's say the first job that you get, your hours are 9 to 5. And the manager or the owner of the company says, I need you to come in on Saturday to help me out with something. And your response is, no, I'm 9 to 5, Sunday to Friday, that's it.
That's it.
Compared to somebody who says, I'd be happy to help you out. That sets you into a different category. Rather than being just an employee now, you're actually a partner in whatever is going on. So that'd be number two. You really need to focus on doing something extra. Number 3 is become a lifetime learner. If you don't read, start reading, because there's unbelievable amount of knowledge in books. And now if you can't read books, if you've got dyslexia or anything like that, they have Kindle, auto books. I mean, you can get all of that. But you've got to be, to me, you've got to become a lifetime learner. You've got to be learning. 25 years ago, people didn't even know that you could pop popcorn in something called a microwave. You just pop it on a stove. Now, if you weren't a lifetime learner, you might not have understood that new things are coming along all the time. So you've got to change what you're thinking. A lot of people get locked into, I'm pretty smart the way I am, and leave it at that. But the real exceptional performers and people that move up in the world become lifetime learners. So
don't stop learning.
Yes, right? Yes. Those are the 3 things that, just off the top of my head. I also believe in whenever we're talking about anything, try to focus on 3 things, because anything more than that, generally don't do.
So when you said the first thing about, you should know where your area of interest is. What if someone doesn't have a clue by a certain age? Then what? There are kids that, I've seen nowadays, they're taking more time to analyze their interests,
Okay, I'm a book reader, so I would, if someone said, I don't really know what I want to do and I don't know where to go to get help for that, I would say there's 2 things. Number 1, find yourself a mentor, an older person with some success who you can talk to and feel comfortable with, and get guidance from that person. So that would be 1. That person should be able to help you figure out what your likes and dislikes are. If you're a reader, or even if you're not a reader, there's a book that's been out for years, and it's been revised and updated. It's called What Color is Your Parachute? What Color is Your Parachute? It's written by a gentleman from, he's passed on now, but from Walnut Creek. But it's sort of the Bible of determining, and it has some great examples in going to a cocktail party and having 4 corners in the cocktail room, and you've got to decide which one of those corners are you going to stand in. One of them's a technology corner, one of them's a sales corner, one is a numbers corner, and it guides you through that process. It's a fantastic book. I've recommended it to so many people who've given me good feedback. So if I didn't know what I was going to do, those are the 2 things that I focus in on.
Okay. And then you said about being open to staying, working, taking more initiative at work, right?
Right.
Yeah. So how would you balance that with your own life? Like someone is okay, every Saturday they're asking you to come for 3 hours. Now your family is unhappy, your girlfriend is unhappy. Now how do you that becomes?
So Johnny, you said the magic word. You said balance. Yes. You've got to have a balance in life. So if a boss said come in every Saturday, I'd say I'd be happy to come in on a few Saturdays, but I have a family. I've got Little League on Friday. Or Saturday. I've got to take my mother-in-law to the hospital. I've got whatever.
Yes.
I lead a balanced life. Some bosses would not like that, but a good boss would love that, because what that says to a good boss is, you lead a balanced life, and I need balanced people. I don't need people who are burned out, or I burn them out. So that would be my response.
Okay. So the 3 tips that you said was, the first is you should know your area, and the second you said is you should be open to working more than just your regular hours.
To doing something more. It's not necessarily always working. It could be putting out a new project or doing something extra. When I was a clerk in a paint store, I used to go in and clean the restrooms on Sunday, which was optional. They didn't pay me for it or anything. But in 1 year, I got promoted. And the manager once told me, Sal, my manager, told me that the reason I got promoted was because I was willing to come in without them asking me and clean the restrooms on a Sunday, which was my own time. Next 1 year, I only worked in that store for 1 year, and I got promoted the following year, so it works.
Yeah. and then expand your knowledge. That was your third
Lifetime learner.
lifeline.
Be a lifetime learner. And
Don't stop learning.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm aged now. I won't go into how aged, but I read voraciously, and I think I learn something new every day. I know that sounds corny, but it's true.
It is.
I do.
Yeah. It is important to learn.
Gotta have an open mind and realize I had to learn how to use a smartphone. Okay.
That's and like the way our kids play video games, I don't think so. I can ever learn that.
Yes.
Like
Yes, I understand.
those kind of things. Yeah, but yeah, smartphones are still like easier to kind of manage now that all these new models they're coming up with, like a little bit. They have that in mind, right?
Yes.
Easier for us because those video games are like hard to controllers and all that. You probably have grandkids also playing, right? Yeah. But that is really nice. Thank you, Joe, for giving those 3 pointers because it's not just 3 points. It's easier to remember. If someone is looking for some tips, and you also said finding a mentor, which is also
Very
good.
important.
Somebody who has done it, and you can ask them for guidance or overall, like, what do I do? I'm stuck now. What do I do? Those kind of things, right?
Someone told me that if you get a mentor, their hindsight is your insight. So their hindsight, the things that they've learned in all the years that they've been around, making mistakes and doing the wrong thing and sometimes doing the right thing, can now be your insight. How you look off into the future because you're benefiting from all that stuff that somebody else had experienced in their life. So.
And made mistakes and learned from them. Yeah.
Which we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thanks for all the tips, and I think it's going to really help someone who's looking. And this also mentors, the way you talked about the 3-pointers. It's actually a way you can guide more people.
Right.
Without actually meeting them, but they can listen to you and they can understand like what to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
If you want to talk about anything at all, then you know who to call. Just tell Sanjana. Tell Sanjana. Tell Sanjana. Tell Sanjana. Just tell Sanjana.